It's 920 days since the abduction of 219 students from the Government Girls Secondary School in Chibok, Borno State, northeast Nigeria. And following consistent pressure nationally and internationally, the federal government has started negotiations that has led to the release of 21 of the girls so far. On our big story tonight, we take a look at the return of the 21 Chibok girls and how the nation's reacting to that return.
Celebration and jubilation rend the air as 21 Chibok girls take to the dance floor. At a Thanksgiving service to reunite them with their parents after spending over 2 years in the hands of their Boko Haram abductors. Like a bad dream, 276 of them were abducted from Chibok Girls Secondary School by Boko Haram commanders to unknown destinations. Their offense, they were in pursuit of Western education, which the militant group says is forbidden. Some of the girls managed to escape by jumping off the trucks and running into bushes. The whole world cried out condemning the abduction.
All we are saying.
The Bring Back Our Girls group formed, mounting pressure on the Nigerian federal government for the release of the girls.
Bring back our girls now and alive.
The days ran into weeks, weeks ran into months, and months ran into 2 good years. The pressure on the federal government continued, nationally and internationally. A Boko Haram tape showing 50 of the girls surfaced. In it, the militants demanded for the release of their commanders in exchange for the Chibok girls, claiming that most of the girls have been married out. 1 month later, another video showcased 130 of the Chibok girls reciting the Quran. In May 2016, one of the girls, Amina, was rescued. Her release was celebrated by federal government and Nigerians. Amina has a baby. Her release was a sign of better days ahead.
Federal government can and will do everything possible to ensure that the rest of her life takes a completely different course.
More pressure is mounted on the federal government, putting government officials on the defensive most of the time.
We will continue to give the president no rest until he does what he pledged.
October 13, 2016, Boko Haram handed over 21 Chibok girls to federal government after what has been described as a series of negotiations. The vice president and his wife are among the first to behold the girls in an emotion-laden environment. The vice president told State House correspondents how their release was brokered.
Absolutely no, there were absolutely no exchange of any kind, and certainly any news or stories about 4 or 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 commanders is entirely untrue.
But 21 is just a minuscule fraction of the number of missing girls. 197 of them are still in captivity, and with the government swapped to get them released.
We'll consider every option, and we've said that from the very beginning. We're very prepared to consider any option.
Concerned Nigerians and members of the international community said they would not want the celebration to die down. They expect the release of all the girls, with none left in captivity in no distant time.
And government will sustain the effort until all the remaining girls return safely.
It's only when this is done that government will be seen as protecting lives and property of its citizens in Nigeria. For the big story, Chukwuma Onekusi, Channels Television News.
And from there, we take a look at some business news for the day. Here's Melinda Akinlami.
Thank you so much, IJ. Welcome to Business News. The Central Bank of Nigeria has paid 930 million naira to 310 people under the Youth Entrepreneurial Development Program. The credit facility, which comes at a single-digit interest rate, is given to youths engaged in productive activities. The CBN's Deputy Governor in charge of Corporate Services, Alhaji Sulaiman Barud, told a gathering in Abuja that the program will lead to the employment of about 1 million people.
Nigeria's unemployment rate is on the increase. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, unemployment rose to 13.3% from 12.1% in the first quarter. The Central Bank of Nigeria is taking steps to address the situation by launching the Youth Entrepreneurship Development Program. Introduced in March this year, the program is designed to stimulate the entrepreneurial spirit among young people.
The program is premised on the provision of timely and affordable credit to identify the youth entrepreneurs with expected multiplier effect on job creation and economic growth of the country. To overcome the bottleneck of collateral requirement for loans and ease access to finance, the academic and NYSC certificate, third-party guarantees and movable assets are allowed as collateral under the program.
There are 310 beneficiaries in this first phase, and each of them will be receiving 3 million naira to start their businesses. However, the beneficiaries had issues with the collateral requirements issued by a commercial bank before they can access the funds.
The loan seems inaccessible to us. We are mostly startups and don't have access to credit and can't have access to this fund. For example, the requirement of a 150% undated check as opposed to the initial requirement of our NYSC certificates and degree certificates being submitted as collateral to the bank.
The Apex Bank, however, promised to review the requirements. As those concerned in facilitating the program enter into a meeting to review the conditions for accessing the funds, they hope that the program will stimulate the entrepreneurial spirit of young people.
The local bourse ended a 3-day losing streak on Thursday. Traders expect Friday's sentiments to be guided by the release of more third quarter 2016 corporate earning results. Visi Adebayo has more.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The Nigerian equities market staged a recovery after 3 consecutive days of losses due to GT Bank's impressive third quarter earnings and improved liquidity in the financial system. The all-share index was up 0.44%, ending the day's session at 27,598.34. Market capitalization grew to 9.47 trillion naira. Volume came in at 111.89 million shares, valued at over 4 billion naira in 2,699 deals. Market breadth turned positive with 16 gainers against 14 losers. GT Bank led the day's top gainers with 5.11%. International breweries came next with 5%, while Caverton gained 3.8%. Triple G, Africa Prudential Registrars and Nemeth Pharmaceuticals were the top 3 losers for this session. GT Bank, of course, led the top volume drivers with 17.06 million shares ahead of Zenith Bank and Transcorp. And that ends the stock market reports. I am Visi Adebayo.
It's still a green day for most major markets around the world as interest rates in Europe remain the same, but Wall Street ended in the red. Traders blame it on the sharp fall in crude oil prices. Let's check out the numbers now. That's Business News. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Melinda Akinwami.
The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mr. Aduogbe, has announced the immediate distribution of some small mechanized milling machines to Anambra rice farmers that will assist them in the milling process. The minister made the announcement during a tour of some rice farms in Anambra State, and he was accompanied by the governor of Kebbi State, Abubakar Baguda, and the CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele. The tour was meant to assess the level of compliance of Anambra rice farmers with the CBN Anchors Borrowers Scheme.
Anambra State's Governor Willie Obiano receives his visitors, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, the Governor of Kebbi State, Abubakar Atiku Baguda, and the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, at Onitsha, from where they head for Ayamelum local government area. The visitors are on a fact-finding and assessment tour of rice farms in the state. Their first port of call is Koscharis Farms in Anaku, where the highly mechanized farm is growing on a 2,500-hectare land.
So Anambra now has does 210,000 metric tons of rice. We started from 80,000 metric tons 2 years ago. So we've queued into the federal government initiative, and we are really expanding.
The team then moves to Omasi to interact with the farmers and find out the areas where government intervention is needed.
If the federal government can rehabilitate and maintain the other facilities, we have the pumping station at Vitogwari, we have the rice mill at Umumbo, the irrigable farmlands here are more than 5,000 hectares of land.
The Minister of Agriculture and the CBN Governor reassured the farmers of government's continued support.
There are some small machines we are going to bring for you. They should arrive in another maximum maybe 3 weeks for harvesting rice. They're like lawnmowers. The machine will cut your rice and then you thresh it on a tarpaulin so no stone will get into the rice. Thank you.
Governor Obiano then presents some rice cultivated from the farms to his visitors. He is optimistic that with the necessary support, farmers in the state will contribute to reducing the country's dependence on rice importation.
The Anambra rice.
Next on the news at 10, Barcelona forward Luis Suarez wins European Golden Shoe Award after emerging as leading scorer in Europe last season. And that's on sports. To stay with us.